berguna sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Dijaga lola sampah. Bersama saling merangkul untuk dunia. Tiada lagi sampah berkelana di seluruh penjuru dunia. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Dijaga lola sampah. Cobalah lihat dia di sana, merintih memanggil namamu. Jangan biarkan dia jatuh merana, terkubur bersama sampahmu. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Dijaga lola sampah. Bersama saling merangkul untuk dunia. Tiada lagi sampah berkelana di seluruh penjuru dunia. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Dijaga lola sampah. Dijaga lola sampah. memanggil namamu. Jangan biarkan dia jatuh merana, terkubur bersama sampahmu. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna, sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Bijak kelola sampah. Alangkah indah jika bersama saling merangkul untuk dunia. Tiada lagi sampah berkelana di seluruh penjuru dunia. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna, sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Bijak kelola sampah. Cobalah lihat dia di sana, merintih memanggil namamu. Cobalah lihat dia di sana, merintih memanggil namamu. Jangan biarkan dia jatuh merana, terkubur bersama sampahmu. Bumi pertiwi rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna, sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah.
Good morning and welcome to everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you here. We're just waiting for some more participants to come on board. Be great to have everybody here. And we're going to have a fantastic session and a very meaningful session today. I'm Alistair Spears from MVB. I'll tell you more about myself and about all of our participants when we start formally in this in a second. But let's just round up all the people who are signing up at the moment, and we'll be back to you in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much indeed.
Mr. Alistair, you may start the webinar now.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us in this Waste for Change in association with Dharmawangsa Hotel and MVB, who I represent here today. It's a great pleasure to have people who are interested in a great subject, and the subject is sustainability. And today we're talking specifically about the hospitality, travel, and hotel industry to try and see if we can get some real impact going there. We're going to have quite a long session, which means that you need to get yourself comfortable, get settled into somewhere you can really keep your internet going. Let me just run through the basic rules of today so that it's easy for us all to know. Now, we're looking for active participation for everyone. We want people to ask questions. The only way to find out the things that you're not quite sure about is to ask questions. And to reward you for asking those questions, we're going to have 3 prizes, 3 tote bags given away from Waste for Change to the most active and the best people who've asked the questions. So we'll be handing those out at the end of the session today. Obviously, we're asking to ask those questions. You can go into the chat session or into the Q&A. So please ask the questions to any of our participants, to any of our speakers today, because they've got things that they can share with you which will be of great interest. But in order to know who you are, make sure you put in your name, who you represent, and whatever your question is, and who you're addressing it to. Sangat penting, who you're addressing it to. If it's to all panelists, just say to all. If you haven't actually registered yet, we need to be in contact with you, so please go into the chat session and have a look at the registration box so that we know where your email or your WhatsApp is, so that we can make sure that we are in contact with you after this and you can get all of the information that we want you to have. We've got 3 great speakers today representing really the travel industry in different forms. One from a hotel, major hotel, one an activist in sustainability who loves to travel, and lastly from Waste for Change themselves, who are so involved in the waste management for the hotel and travel industry. That's really the introduction from me. I'd like to move on to our main session, but before we do that, I'd like to ask all of our speakers to please switch on your videos so that we can take a photograph of all of us to mark this occasion with a nice screenshot. Can we all switch on, please? And we'll take a nice photograph. Who's in charge of photography?
I will help, Mr. Alistair. You may count down. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Once more. 3, Mbak Dila. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. That marks the beginning of our session today. Now, let me just give you a little introduction to what we're trying to do. We all know the essence of sustainability and the importance of waste management within that. We are facing a crisis of waste here in Jakarta, actually in Bali too, and well, wait a second, Lombok, Jogja, Bandung. We have a crisis of waste across Indonesia. And there are people trying to manage that, and we know that the DLH is doing their best, but certain sectors can help that because they are concentrated. Obviously in industry it's concentrated, but the hotel sector, we have sometimes 1,000 people staying in one building and eating there, and obviously the hotel industry has been providing things like plastic bottles into every room for the last 25, 30 years. So we've got some areas which can be managed on a much more mass basis. There is great responsibility in the travel industry, but trying to make it better and more efficient is what we're talking about today. I don't think there's any hotels who are not aware of their responsibility. Sometimes they just don't know what to do. So we're going to be talking to one hotel who does know what to do and has done it. And then we're going to talk about to a traveler who says, I'm traveled, and I want to tell you about my experiences when I'm traveling around Indonesia to see what is happening. The hotel industry can bring great benefit to the whole waste management process because it is organized, it's efficient, and after the hotels we can go to apartments, we can go to places where people are concentrated and managed. It's a very important area. A journal published by Mataram Tourism College says a hotel visitor produce approximately 1 kilogram of waste per night. Obviously in paper, plastics, and cardboard, but don't forget food waste is also quite a large amount of waste that comes out of hotels. Sometimes very well managed. We'll hear about that a little bit later. Today is World Water Day, and that's one of the things which we're very concentrating on, especially in Bali where there's a water crisis. Wait a second, there's a water crisis in Jakarta as well. Strangely enough, in Jogja and Semarang, and actually Indonesia has a water crisis, though we flood as well. All of this links together, waste, water, and plastic, and today we're going to try and just get a little bit of a distillation of what we can do to make it all better. Let me introduce our first speaker, first of all. If you're all sitting comfortably and ready to learn a little bit about how it's done properly, I'm going to have Angga Karamoy, who's the Director of Rooms at the Dharmawangsa Jakarta. Angga is a veteran of the hotel management industry with almost 2 decades of experience. He graduated from Christelijk Hogeschool van Noord, obviously from the Netherlands, in business administration, hotel, motel, and restaurant management, and has been working both in Bali and now back in one of the iconic hotels in Jakarta, the Dharmawangsa, and you can see from his background, he's sitting in one of those beautiful lounges downstairs on the ground floor. After that, we're going to have Dila Hadju. Dila is the founder of Tumbuh Hijau Urban, which is going green. And she's obviously gone very green. She's a sustainable influencer. She maintains her social media platform to share educational content for urban mums in adopting sustainable lifestyles. Urban mums are the key to the future. That you're absolutely right. Forget about the dads, the mums are the place to go. And then, of course, we're going to have Hana Nur Auliana, Head of Communications and Engagement at Wasteforchange, who I've been working with for a number of years, and they are the best at what they do. She graduated from biomedical engineering at Swiss-German University and has more than 5 years experience in waste management sector. At Wasteforchange, she leads the marketing, partnership and communication team and ensures the company builds productive collaboration with the community and stakeholders. So hello to Angga, hello to Dila and to Hana. Please turn off your cameras if you're not speaking, and let's concentrate on the speaker in hand. We've had our picture already, so let's move on to our first session with Angga. Good morning, Angga, and welcome to the world of waste. A world where we are surrounded by waste, 140 hectares of waste in Bantar Gebang, a shameful experience that Jakarta has put together. Now we're trying to make it better, and here we have the hotel industry leading the way. I'm going to ask you a few questions just to put in perspective what the Dharmawangsa has done in order to get into this sustainability space. Are you ready?
Yes, Palester. I'm all ready.
Excellent. Now let's start the discussion with a little bit of explanation on the vision of the Dharmawangsa Jakarta. Why did you decide to implement responsible waste management, and what does it mean to your business to do that?
So, Dharmawangsa is a tropical house with a lot of green scenery and everything. So it could be said that we're truly aware about nature. And we decide to implement the responsible waste management because we see how things done, and we really want to do more for the environment. We believe in sustainability, and sustainability means that we need to give a positive contribution to environment surrounding us, and also to wisely use energy, save and reuse it again. So that is the sustainability means for our business.
I've muted myself. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. And you know, sustainability is a journey, so wanting to do more means that you're always on that journey. In your opinion, what is a green hotel? Everyone talks about being green, and how can we apply that concept to the sort of operations that you have in a hotel, especially in your sector? What's a green hotel?
Green hotel is a hotel that could be held responsible toward their contribution toward the environment. As you said, it's a journey. A green hotel, a hotel that aware from the journey from the very beginning to the final product. In most cases, it is disposal. A green hotel will always aware about this journey as a whole and not simply look into one part of it. With we apply this concept by using technology to minimizing energy and reduce the carbon dioxide waste. We adopt the concept of reduce, reuse, recycle, and dispose. In a hotel, even though the hotel is really classic architecture, we use a lot of LED lights. We stop using of diesel and we use CNG. CNG is a compressed natural gas which generate less CO2 carbon dioxide waste. And we believe by not only through these big things from electrical, from pollution, everything start as simple as segregating your waste. And that is how a green hotel should be.
That's very well described. Now, I love the CNG example of a conversion that you've made to make things better. What other challenges do you face as far as becoming more sustainable? You know, we know of hotels that are built sustainably. You were built as a classic, beautiful hotel. So there's a question really of the challenges that come with retrofitting and changing the way things already are. You can't just pull it down and start again. You've got to work with what you've got. Has that been a challenge?
Yes, I could say that it's a really huge challenge. The good thing is that since beginning, every stakeholder of the hotel have this awareness about being a green hotel. So it's not like we go to bed and we wake up in the morning and said, "Oh, I'd like to have a green hotel," and then we strip down everything and change. That is, again, being a green hotel is a journey, and it's a really slow journey, and it takes investment. But at the end of the day, we know that we give positive contribution to the environment. It's a long process to change everything. Back again, Dharmawangsa built like 25 years ago, and back then the awareness of green hotel is not as much as now. One of the biggest part is not only about the technical issue, building things, but also to build awareness to the people. We've been told to always throw garbage to the garbage bin since we're a kid. But now as an adult, we also need to learn on how to throw the right type of garbage to the right bin. So it's a really comprehensive process, and it's really need a buy-in from everyone involved in it.
Well, you've now gone on to the question of waste management, which is one of our core elements here. How did you get started going from just throwing trash away to the segregation and the management of waste within the hotel, which is the key to doing it properly? That's obviously been a change of SOPs within the hotel, change of mentality amongst all the staff and the guests, of course. We have to do both.
Yes, back again, as it's a long journey start long time ago, and we don't see that the journey will be end anytime sooner. It still take a lot of investment. It still take a lot of awareness to that, and but we already take things to a higher level at the moment. Not only building awareness, we also try to educating, and educating is not only mean educating our associates. Simply change the SOP. We also change a lot of chain of let's say ordering. We identify vendors based on their ability and their commitment towards sustainability, basically. And I'm really happy to say that most of our vendors also have this commitment towards sustainability. This all together make us being a green hotel, because hotel is a large number of people, a large number of business involved in the hotel. Being a green hotel is not simply a green hotel. It means that we need to be a green community within the hotel.
Very good, Pat. Actually, you're quite right. A lot of people suffer a large amount of waste because their suppliers are supplying them with too much packaging, too many things that you don't want, and it's educating both the supply chain and the whole ecosystem that you're operating in. So that's very good. Now, people talk about sustainability being a positive PR aspect as well. Is that something which you can see helping to build your business, to get the right sort of customers through the right sort of awareness? Does that help you?
Honestly speaking, yes. Because when we're talking about millennial generation, Gen Z and everything, new generation nowadays, they really grow up with this concept of being sustainable and everything. And it's really something that already programmed in their head. And our PR, actually, our guest now is totally different with our guest 25 years ago. Our guest 25 years ago most probably will not really care where their garbage will end it. But here we have critical young people who would like to know, if I throw this garbage, will I actually will I actually hurting the environment? They want to know the answer of this kind of things. And that's where PR coming in. Our PR convince and share that we actually being sustainable, that we really care. And that also helps to create a perspective, and it makes people more comfortable, or maybe if I could say less, less guilty by staying in the hotel, because they know that we manage everything responsibly.
Well, it's been a salutary experience going through COVID, because at the beginning, a lot of the hotels in a quest for sanitation wrapped everything in plastic or paper, and there was a gigantic explosion of waste due to the COVID pandemic. Now it's calmed down again, so hopefully that won't happen again. That's one of the side effects. Now, waste management has to be managed professionally. Now, you've engaged with Wasteforchange in order to get that professional partnership. How has that helped you to implement this responsible waste management? Is that something that you felt was a great partnership?
Yes, we believe that partnering with Wasteforchange is a really great partnership, because they provide what we call as accountability. They could give you a report on how our waste managed and where our waste ended, and back again it lead up to the PR. And I need to say that Wasteforchange is what we could really call as a waste management, because a lot of people now, they will say, we do have people who collect all the garbage and send it to the landfill. But the thing is, it's not a waste management. What they do is they simply pay for a courier service to collect the garbage and send it to the landfill. They don't know how they're going to throw all the garbage. They really don't give attention on how the garbage could actually reuse again. And reduce with Wasteforchange, they could actually provide you all the report, and they could, from the report, you could see all the necessary steps, how to start by the first step, how to reduce the waste, what could be recycled, and if it needs to be disposed, will it just end up in the landfill, or could it be something beneficial for other people? So we really believe that this partnership really have a good impact for both of us.
I couldn't agree more. And having seen the Wasteforchange facility on a couple of occasions, knowing that virtually everything can be recycled with the right partnerships, with plastic recycling, with paper and cans and everything, it's great to do that. Singling out, if you've got one thing that you say that you're very proud of in the Dharmawangsa, what have you done which says, hey, this is something I'd like to tell people about? Have you got something which you can share a best practice with us? Maybe in food waste. I mean, there's all sorts of things which people have innovated in and said, oh, I'm proud of that. Anything in Dharmawangsa?
Well, we are really proud that we have the commitment to help all of our vendors to have the same commitment with us in regards of sustainability. It's not an easy thing to be done. A lot of people will simply saying, we give you this product, it's really cheap, it's a good quality, and then at the end of the discussion we asked, and what is the ingredients of these things? And they said it's plastic. And we said, is it recyclable? No, but it's cheap. And then we go to another vendor. Frankly speaking, it's made of carton and everything, but they are so green. And when it comes to business, but at the end of the day, it's always involves some financial measurement. But at this stage, we're really proud to say that our commitment is much higher than our financial measurement. And it's not easy for a business, but we believe by holding our vendors, we build that commitment, and we're really proud of that.
Excellent. You know, one of the things which I've learned during this process of getting into this advocacy for sustainability is that waste isn't free. We've thought for years that getting rid of waste is you just put it outside, somebody picks it up and it's all gone. We think that water is free. We even switch on lights that we don't need because we can't see the bill, but none of it's free. And eventually we'll have to pay the cost one way or the other. At the moment, we've got a major problem with waste management for the whole of Jakarta. The hotel industry can lead the way, and you've done a great job to get that started. I took a Wasteforchange message to Jakarta Hotels Association 4 years ago, and nothing happened. Then 3 years ago, then nothing happened. Then last year, we started to get some impact. How long does it take till we get this collaboration going where everybody says, I'm doing it, let's join in? How can we get everybody to join in and do what you're doing?
Well, it starts with awareness, as you said, where people throw something away, they don't see it, and what they don't see, they don't care about it. We believe that by make people see things, how things could now end it, like if you see the picture of the disposal in Bantar Gebang and everything, if we see how things happen there, and then we could see in other places where they actually responsible with their waste, it helps to create awareness, because now they know, oh, we could actually do that instead of doing this. And then doing the right thing is not easy, and it takes a lot of investment, it takes a lot of commitment. But we have family, we have kids, and simply because we throw something and we not see it again, we don't care. Yeah, but it will bite us in the end. We throw things and we don't think about it, but sooner or later our kids will pay for that. This kind of awareness, this kind of message.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, this kind of message need to be delivered to everyone so they buy the idea. We not the company not helping us, we actually help the environment. And we not, and the term of helping is not actually right, because we actually have the responsible to take care of environment. It's not one thing that we do. We must do that because that is our job.
Thank you, Pak. Much agree with everything you say. And what we need to do is together go back to the Jakarta Hotels Association, back to PHRI, and say to them, let's get every hotel registered in Jakarta and the surroundings to join in and do the right thing. And that will lead the way as well, because the hotels are a center of public awareness, with a lot of people coming into them. We're going to come back to you. Actually, I've got one question for you from the public before you go. So let's just say it now rather than coming back to you later. It says, it's an anonymous attendee. I don't like anonymous attendees. Should identify yourself. Is there any government regulation or guideline on green hotels? Is there a government regulation which says what you should be? I think the answer is yes. There's lots of regulations, but implementation and enforcement are different. But what do you think? Is there government outlines which says this is what you should be?
Yes, there are a direction from Ministry of 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Tourism Ministry, 2016.
Yep.
And they give us a direction. The thing is, the problem with direction is it's a safe zone. They give direction, but they did not push people to actually abide to it. And that's why, but there are directions to do that. At the moment, government, I could say that the government do whatever they can to help the environment, but we could actually do more. And when we really committed to do more, it's not really, we don't really need to wait until there's a regulation or direction. We could simply see best practice and we apply back again. We have the responsibility to provide a better world for our kids, for our grandkids to come. And doing that, we don't need to wait until there's a regulation or there's directions.
Very good, Pak Angga.
Yes.
Agree with you entirely. Many thanks for your contribution. Don't go away. We'll come back in the main Q&A after the next two speakers. But you're quite right. There are three reasons for becoming sustainable. One is government regulations, so you have to follow those regulations, which means, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm told. Secondly, is public pressure, social media pressure, saying, oh, this hotel needs to improve itself. And the third one, which is the one I like, is from the heart. I know it's wrong, I have to change it. I know what's right, I have to do it. Let's hope everyone thinks like you do, Pak. Much appreciated.
We
now,
hope, Alistair,
yes.
We hope by doing this, Dharmawangsa could at least start to help to build this public pressure.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you. Don't go away. Stay in your beautiful lounge and have a cup of coffee. Now, if you've got any questions to our participants out there, don't forget to drop them in the Q&A section or put them in the live chat box on the YouTube channel. But please identify yourself. We've had one anonymous today. It's nice to know who you are and what you're talking about. Your name, who you work with, or what you represent, and your question. Now we're going on to our second participant, second speaker. And this is a young lady called Dila Hadju. She's the founder of Tumbuh Hijau Urban, or growing green in urban community. Now, she's been around for a few years now, sustainability advocate. We first saw her at the Youth for the Earth session in the Jakarta Humanity Festival that I'm aware of in M Block, right? I think that was where we first heard of her, but she's very involved in this. She is a young mother, so she's concerned about sustainability from both a community perspective, from a family perspective, and of course, a personal perspective. She is looking at changing people's awareness, as we just talked about, by her own example. But now we're going to ask her about tourist behavior. As she travels around, how are people behaving? What do you see in terms of responsible waste management and irresponsible waste management? And her hobby is traveling, so she knows quite a lot about what's happening out there. Welcome, Dila. And you've got a presentation you're going to give to us, so it's over to you. Then we'll talk to you when you finish presenting. Terima kasih banyak. Kalau salah mau bicara bahasa Indonesia ya?
Yes, iya.
Silakan.
Baik, terima kasih banyak. Selamat pagi teman-teman sekalian dari Wasteforchange dari Hotel Dharmawangsa. Ini salah satu hotel kesukaan saya juga dengan suami. Kita pernah menghabiskan ulang tahun ulang tahun pernikahan juga kayaknya pernah nginep di situ. Sangat menenangkan hati untuk mengetahui mereka pun sendiri juga berusaha untuk lebih ramah lingkungan. Sekali lagi saya perkenalkan diri, nama saya Dila Hadju, saya dari Tumbuh Hijau Urban. Tumbuh Hijau Urban itu seperti yang tadi sudah diceritakan oleh Bapak Alistair, memang berusaha untuk istilahnya menormalisasi perilaku yang ramah lingkungan. Kalau pada topik hari ini kita berbicara mengenai liburan ya, dalam satu kata liburan. Jadi aku pun juga akan berusaha untuk berbagi saja pengalaman pribadi lebih banyak ya mengenai berlibur. Jadi izinkan saya untuk share screen. Iya, jadi kalau kita balik kepada topik pentingnya pengelolaan sampah bertanggung jawab di sektor perhotelan untuk mendukung penerapan green hotel di Indonesia. Seperti yang tadi pun juga disampaikan oleh Bapak Alistair, ini Tumbuh Hijau Urban. Dulunya sebenarnya saya tuh kerja di, ada namanya Live Plus. Live Plus itu seperti PR agency, tapi fokus untuk isu-isu lingkungan. Nah dulu tuh untuk departemen pendidikannya di mana saya urus segala konten maupun program yang urusannya dengan edukasi, namanya dulu Growing Up Green. Jadi begitu dibahas Indonesiakan, saya jalan sendiri setelah punya anak, putar otak gimana caranya sebenarnya toh yang memang yang dituju adalah masyarakat urban, maka namanya menjadi Tumbuh Hijau Urban gitu, yang fokus untuk mengkomunikasikan isu-isu lingkungan melalui metode pendidikan. Tapi kalau pada hari ini mungkin lebih fokusnya untuk berbagi ya gitu, tapi dari segi presentasinya pun saya akan lebih banyak berbagi, mungkin dibantu oleh visualisasi mengenai kurang lebih yang berusaha untuk dijalankan apa gitu ya. Tapi mungkin sebelum berbicara mengenai liburan, saya mungkin berbicara dari pihak keluarga sendiri ya, ini keluarga kecil saya. Kalau kita di rumah, tempat tinggal kita sendiri, dan berusaha untuk menjalani gaya hidup yang notabene ramah lingkungan gitu ya, kita punya kuasa sepenuhnya sebenarnya atas apa saja barang ataupun teknis ruang, mungkin misalnya bagaimana supaya kita bisa lebih ramah lingkungan, bagaimana menghemat listrik, bagaimana manajemen sampah gitu. Ini foto di depan rumah. Kalau saya kebetulan di depan rumah itu dibagi 4 itu. Jadi ada sampah organik, sampah daur ulang. Daur ulang itu yang berbasis kertas, karton lebih banyak. Lalu ada sampah anorganik yang warna kuning. Itu plastik, beling, aluminium itu yang bahan-bahan anorganik. Lalu di samping kanan itu kelihatan kecil B3, tapi itu sebenarnya residu dan B3. Jadi memang yang cukup sering malah kalau di dalam rumah sendiri sebenarnya residu dan B3 ini dibagi 2. Residu ini secara mungkin ini yang lebih ahli ya dari teman-teman Wasteforchange, kayaknya saya pun juga diafirmasi oleh data dari mereka bahwa residu ini ketika dicampur dengan sampah-sampah lainnya itu dia menghambat proses daur ulang kemudian. Jadi memang sebaiknya dipisah karena kan dia memang yang justru malah lebih banyak, baik itu dari segi tisu ataupun maaf pembalut, atau kalau untuk anak-anak popok sekali pakai atau apapun yang ada ada kotoran biologis ya, itu dari badan kita sendiri, itu lebih banyak memang sebaiknya dipisah di residu gitu. Dan paling gampang sebenarnya itu ditaruhnya di tempat toilet-toilet kecil gitu ya. Tapi ini ya kurang lebih di rumah lah gitu. Dan alhamdulillah sangat didukung oleh suami dan anak pun juga, bahkan anak sangat semangat ketika dia mau membuang sampah harus dia gitu, karena kayak oh warna, dari sebelum dia belum bisa baca dia tahu warna gitu. Jadi dia paling semangat. Kultur ini pun, gaya hidup ini berusaha kita bawa ketika kita jalan-jalan gitu ya. Ketika kita berbicara mengenai jalan-jalan atau dalam bahasa Inggris traveling, dan berusaha untuk ramah lingkungan, sebenarnya kita berlibur itu bahkan apa ya, jejak yang ditinggalkan ya gitu, itu dimulai ketika kita jalan, ketika kita naik transportasinya. Apakah itu dari mobil, apakah itu dari kereta, atau ketika kita naik pesawat gitu. Jadi itu sebenarnya pengaruh dampak terhadap lingkungan itu bahkan sudah dimulai dari sejak kita mulai beranjak gitu, mulai jalan. Nah, tapi ketika kita sudah sampai di sana dengan kesadaran ini, kita lalu berusaha untuk bagaimana caranya, istilahnya bukan mengimbangi, tapi untuk kalau kita take and give. Jadi ketika kita memang menghasilkan satu dampak terhadap lingkungan, bagaimana caranya kita bisa meminimalisir dampak terlebih lanjut gitu, atau bahkan mengimbangi gitu ya. Kalau istilahnya, istilah kerennya juga ada istilah-istilah namanya carbon offset gitu. Jadi kita berusaha untuk bagaimana caranya menetralisir jejak karbon yang bukan mendukung atau mempercepat pemanasan global dan perubahan iklim dan lain-lain, gimana caranya. Ada banyak cara gitu, tapi sekalipun kita tidak memikirkan itu, sesederhana bagaimana kita berusaha untuk menjalankan gaya hidup yang lebih ramah lingkungan gitu. Kalau kita misalnya paling minim dengan kita berusaha untuk ini ya, staycation, itu kayaknya kalau istilah dalam bahasa Inggris, di tengah pandemi ini kita sepertinya perfecting the art of staycation, karena kita kan berusaha untuk ini ya, berlibur dari jarak yang paling terdekat lah gitu, kita untuk keluar kota dipersulit gitu. Tapi ketika memang kita misalnya memang mau keluar, ya sebisa mungkin kita, kalaupun kita tidak memperkecil jarak, kita mencoba meminimalisir sampah, atau kita bahkan datang ke tempat-tempat seperti Hotel Dharmawangsa yang kita tahu akan membantu para penghuninya untuk meminimalisir dampak mereka terhadap lingkungan, itu kan kita sendiri terbantu. Tapi aku sendiri pun juga ketika memang jalan-jalan, kita sulit untuk menghindari yang namanya sampah-sampah sekali pakai. Sebenarnya ini kalau kita berbicara masalah bahan plastik itu kayaknya satu topik yang berbeda lagi gitu kan. Tapi yang menjadi masalah yang menghasilkan sampah, salah satu faktor paling utama adalah aspek sekali pakainya itu sebenarnya. Itu yang menjadi salah satu faktor utama dan masalah utama akan masalah sampah ini, manajemen sampah ini gitu. Dan ini kenapa dinamakannya adalah fungsi sekali pakai, karena memang dari segi bahannya pun juga bisa dibilang tidak dianjurkan untuk dipakai berulang, karena berarti dia kualitasnya tidak baik gitu. Jadi dan ini pun kualitasnya tidak baik, ketika nanti didaur ulang pun dia dijadikan bahan lagi, udah dia kualitasnya salah satu yang kasarnya terendah, mau diolah lagi menjadi bahan terendah lagi pun juga bahkan lebih sulit, karena yang kita ketahui daur ulang pada kenyataannya banyak dia penurunan kualitas gitu. Nah, ini bagaimana caranya dari kualitas terendah terus didaur ulang menjadi turun lagi gitu. Jadi ujung-ujungnya sayangnya seringkali menjadi sampah gitu. Jadi baik dari plastik maupun styrofoam ini sebisa mungkin dihindari ya, karena setahu saya tidak bisa didaur ulang gitu kan. Lalu alat makan, tisu basah pun juga sebenarnya dia ada mikroplastiknya, sachet-sachetan gitu. Ketika saya sendiri pun juga dulu waktu anak saya masih pakai popok, kita memang jadi bawa popok, dan sekarang pun juga masker sekali pakai gitu ya. Tapi beruntungnya sebenarnya semuanya itu ada alternatif guna ulangnya gitu. Dan memang banyak yang mungkin memang bertanya bahwa aduh tapi lebih mahal ya gitu kan. Kalau saya sih mengibaratkannya contoh misalnya paket data handphone gitu. Kita lebih memilih jauh pasti untuk beli paket data bulanan dibandingkan kita belinya yang harian, karena setelah dihitung-hitung sebenarnya lebih mahal yang harian selama sebulan gitu ya. Begitupun sama dengan alat-alat ini gitu. Pada prakteknya kalau memang kita bisa, nggak harus yang minimal kalau dia menjual botol yang 10 mili, kita nggak, kalau memang yang 1 liternya mahal, minimal kita beli yang 50 mili, 100 mili aja sudah membantu dibandingkan kita hanya beli yang 10 mili gitu. Tergantung investasi kita di awal seperti apa gitu. Tapi yang jelas apapun itu akan kedepannya justru akan jauh lebih murah kalau kita berbicara masalah nilai ekonomi ya gitu. Ini pun juga berusaha tetap dijalankan ketika traveling ya. Traveling ketika kita mau berusaha untuk meminimalisir sampah ya istilahnya, kalau kita berbicara mengenai aspek sampah, ya kitanya harus membuat persiapan yang lebih juga gitu. Termasuk di samping popok guna ulang, jujur popok guna ulang memang sangat sulit ketika traveling gitu. Saya berusaha untuk ada popok sekali pakai tapi dia bahannya dari bambu gitu ya, tapi dari bambu, tapi sebisa mungkin ya kalau memang kita bisa campur dengan guna ulang, kalau kita memang di satu tempat yang cukup lama bisa sempat cuci lebih baik gitu. Kalau saya sendiri udah dari sejak 2 tahun lebih sudah pakai pembalut guna ulang gitu, dan memang harus dipersiapkan lebih. Oke, kalau saya tahu saya mau liburan berarti udah harus siap nih gitu kan dengan sabun batangan gitu, nyucinya pakai sabun batangan. Pada praktiknya ketika kita keluar pun juga liburan, misalnya kita beli makanan-makanan, itu pun juga pakai kotak-kotak makan, ya kenapa enggak kita siapin bawa sendiri gitu. Karena toh juga memang akan ada gitu ya. Jadi itu pun juga dibawa, tumbler sudah pasti, peralatan makan gitu ya. Jadi kita mengurangi. Jadi memang jadi ada investasi bukan hanya dalam bentuk uang tapi dalam bentuk usaha gitu. Jadi untuk bisa mengurangi sampah sama sekali pakai itu dengan kita pakai tempat-tempat minum, tempat makan, peralatan makan kita sendiri gitu ya. Karena toh juga memang akan diperlukan gitu. Jadi kenapa tidak sekalian gitu ya. Dan jadi ya nggak usah ngurangin beli-beli di luar juga gitu. Nah, tapi tentunya saya pun sendiri juga baru berlibur ke Bandung bersama kakak saya dan ibu saya, anak dan para ponakan gitu ya. Sebisa mungkin untuk punya persiapan tumbler, tapi waktu itu lupa bawa tempat makan sendiri. Alhasil akhirnya kita memang jadilah pakai tempat yang dari restoran tersebut gitu ya. Itu yang ada yang bahan plastik, bahan karton gitu. Tapi ya seperti halnya dalam kehidupan kita sehari-hari, sebenarnya kalau saya sendiri selalu berusaha untuk bertanya sama diri saya sendiri, oke, apa yang bisa saya lakukan dengan lebih baik hari ini gitu. Begitupun juga ketika kita memang berlibur, oke, dalam satu situasi di mana saya menggunakan bahan sekali pakai ini, bagaimana caranya, apa yang bisa aku lakukan untuk membuat ini lebih ramah lingkungan gitu. Akhirnya ya saya waktu itu makan mie bakso gitu, ada sisa kuahnya, oke, kuahnya ya saya buang ke wastafel gitu kan, terus itu ada sekitar 4 tempat 5 makan itu, ya saya pisahkan antara kotak-kotak kartonnya saya satuin, yang plastiknya saya satuin, maksudnya saya gabung-gabung walaupun dia ujung-ujungnya dalam tempat sampah yang sama ya, mungkin dengan kebanyakan hotel sayangnya masih belum membagi-bagi sampahnya, misalnya cuma ada 1 tempat sampah, minimal tapi sampah di dalam si tempat sampahnya itu yang karton sama karton, yang plastiknya sama plastiknya gitu kan. Jadi ketika mungkin di tempat pembuangan akhir di mana ada para pemulung atau dipisah pun dipermudah gitu ya. Jadi mungkin kesannya sepele gitu kan, atau ya udahlah gitu kan, emang akan berdampak sebesar apa sih kita menghilangkan kuahnya? Pada kenyataannya dampaknya cukup besar gitu, karena kuahnya itu sendiri kan dia membuat sampahnya menjadi lembab, jadi mengurangi kualitas, membuat sampah-sampah lainnya jadi bau, bahkan dia berpotensi membuat gas metana gitu. Jadi jangan pernah berpikir bahwa langkah apapun itu terlalu kecil dampaknya atau bahkan nggak ada gunanya, itu sama sekali tidak benar gitu. Jadi apapun yang kecil itu sekalipun menghasilkan sampah sekali pakai, oke, apa yang bisa aku lakukan untuk membuat ini lebih ramah lingkungan? Gitu. Minimal kalau di hotel, saya akhirnya berusaha untuk memisahkan sendiri gitu. Misalnya ada 1 tempat sampah di kamar mandi, ada 1 tempat sampah yang di luar gitu ya. Jadi ya udah alhasil, kalau misalnya cuma ada 2, oke, yang residu yang basah-basah semuanya di kamar mandi, yang kering itu di luar. Itu kan jadi minimal saya segregasi sendiri gitu ya. Kalau di tempat sampah 3, ya minimal seperti ini. Jadi, sampah daur ulangnya yang kering-kering itu semuanya sendiri, yang sampah organik itu yang khusus makanan sendiri, lalu yang sampah residu ini Dan bahkan tempat-tempat makan yang basah itu juga sebenarnya masuknya di residu setahu saya ya. Mungkin Wasteforchange ini boleh konfirmasi, tapi setahu saya ketika misalnya nih yang kartun-kartun ini yang masih ada sisa makanan harusnya ditaruhnya di tempat sampah daur ulang yang bersih ini gitu. Jadi minimal dengan kita membagi sampahnya, sekalipun kita menghasilkan sampah, ya lagi-lagi bertanya pada diri sendiri, oke, bagaimana kita mencoba untuk membagi sampah. Dan begitupun juga saya bahkan masih tertawakan oleh kakak saya, kayak apa sih, ngapain repot gitu kan. Tapi aduh apa repotnya sih, cuma semenit 2 menit gitu ya kita membuang kuah dari mie baksonya itu, lalu kartonnya disatuin 4-5 gitu. Dibayangkan daripada kalau dibayangin aja gitu kayak 4-5 porsi sisa kuah bakso, mie baksonya itu enggak kita buang ke tempat sampah, kebanyakan orang lakukannya gitu kan dalam satu kantong plastik yang misalnya dikirim ke kamar kita gitu ya. Karton-kartonnya bersama kuah-kuahnya dan plastik-plastiknya dan sumpit dan ininya kan membayangkannya aja maaf ya jorok gitu ya. Tapi dengan kita minimal membuang kuahnya, kita rapihin kartonnya, kita rapikan tutup plastiknya itu aja sudah membantu gitu. Jadi sesederhana itu aja sudah sangat membantu. Tapi ya kurang lebih itu aja sih. Jadi sharing saya sebenarnya tadi sempat ada yang ada titipan juga. Ini pun juga saya berusaha untuk lakukan misalnya memang di Borobudur ataupun Bali, Borobudur, Bali, Jogja, banyak memang hotel-hotel yang memang pada dasarnya sudah membantu kita untuk lebih ramah lingkungan. Tapi kalaupun tidak, inilah kira-kira beberapa tips yang ya titipan tips dan pesan yang bisa saya sampaikan gitu. Jadi ini biasanya ada ya di akhir nih juga salah satu mantra saya menghargai lingkungan, maka saya menghargai diri saya sendiri. Kalaupun kita tidak memikirkan mengenai lingkungan atau masyarakat dunia, minimal kita memikirkan diri kita sendiri ya. Jadi kembali. Jadi ketika kita mencoba untuk membagi sampah itu sebenarnya kita menghargai diri kita sendiri gitu. Jadi itu pun juga berlaku ketika liburan. Demikian presentasi saya. Selamat pagi semuanya. Semoga bermanfaat. Maaf kalau ada yang kurang berkenan di hati. Saya
Terima
kembalikan
kasih
kepada
banyak,
Bapak
Dila.
Alistair.
Excellent presentation because it brings it back to the personal level. As you said very clearly, however small it is, you don't do it yourself, you're just not doing it. And every time you break the same thing, just every day you do that 365 days a year, it makes a big difference. So fantastic, gives everyone something to think about. You've got your 5 tempat sampah in your own house.
Yes.
Oh, which is fantastic. Every single house in Scotland where I come from has that. You have to have it. And what I've been saying to the DLH here and to all over Indonesia as Wasteforchange, just make it that everybody has to do this. We won't pick up your garbage unless you do it.
Yes.
But that hasn't been implemented. I don't know why. When I'm at home in Scotland, on Mondays, the people come for paper, on Tuesdays for garden and organic, on Wednesdays for bottles, on Thursday. That's how they organize it. We can do the same thing here. I know we've got 20 million people, but we still have to break it down into RT, RW units, same as anywhere else.
Yes.
So very, very good. I love your illustration as well of all the things that we accept as being disposable, and then you replace them with all of the classics of the containers and the things that you, it's just so simple. Just think about it. Well done, Dila. It's a very, very nice way of looking at it.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you just make it practical, and I'm delighted to have listened to your presentation. No doubt there'll be lots of questions for you coming up as well. Stay with us as well, and the questions will come later. We are running a little bit behind time, because we've got lots to talk about. Now we've got even more to talk about with Hana from Wasteforchange, who's going to come on.
Hello. Let
me give you a quick introduction to her, though. For most of you, she doesn't need much introduction, because Wasteforchange and what's been happening with Masano there has really become a touchstone of waste management for Jakarta. It requires serious commitment and serious vision, and it has happened. Now, the collaboration across sectors is happening in some places, but it's still bitty. Bukan complete. I know that's why it's such a struggle to bring it all together. But Waste for Change, if you engage them, provides a solution directly for you. At least you can say, I've done it. We've done it, which is really what we've been trying to encourage for years now. Don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry if your neighbors don't do it now. Do it yourself. And maybe they'll go, wait a second, what are they doing? And that's really where we're going to. But their facilities, their waste management services, the way in which they've looked at it is very good. And Hana Nur Auliana is the head of communications there, and she is going to help us to understand how the hotel sector can apply responsible waste management. Now, as I said earlier, after 4 years of trying, we're beginning to get some hotels actually saying we'll do it. It's taken a long time. It's never too late. Over to you to tell us what we can really do. But Hana, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alistair. Mungkin aku akan conduct this presentation using menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, sehingga mungkin teman-teman di sini lebih paham seperti itu. Oke, jadi saya mulai di sini. Dan mungkin akan cepat sehingga supaya nanti kita akan lebih banyak diskusi di akhir gitu ya, banyak Q&A-nya. Nah, ya, jadi ini langsung aja. Di Indonesia sendiri situasinya memang tidak menjadi lebih baik. Jadi di tahun 2020 ke 2021 selama kita mengalami masa pandemi itu sebenarnya jumlah sampah yang kita hasilkan pun semakin banyak. Dan kalau misalnya kita ngelihat di tahun 2019, ini masih mirip-mirip sih dengan data yang di 2021, di mana kebanyakan itu 2 teratas itu hanya dikumpulkan, bahkan lebih banyak yang dibakar gitu ya. Jadi di beberapa daerah masih banyak yang menganggap membakar sampah itu tidak apa-apa gitu. Sedangkan untuk pengelolaan sampah yang lebih ramah lingkungan seperti untuk dikompos ataupun didaur ulang itu sangat-sangat kecil, bahkan menjadi 2 yang terbawah gitu. Jadi kalau ngelihat di sini jumlahnya tuh secara persentase sangat kecil. Dan dari data-data yang tadi itu sebenarnya banyak juga masalah yang terjadi. Ini beberapa contohnya aja. 3 terbesar masalah yang terjadi akibat pengelolaan sampah yang tidak baik. Yang pertama itu adalah banyak material-material yang tadi udah dicontohkan juga sama Mbak Dila, ketika kita bisa milah sampah jadi beberapa jenis, ada material-material yang sebenarnya bisa kita selamatkan, bisa kita kurangi, sehingga dia itu bukan lagi sampah, tetapi adalah material yang bisa didaur ulang, bisa digunakan kembali, seperti itu. Dan itu sangat baik untuk lingkungan, sehingga kita nggak perlu memenuhi TPA kita ataupun lingkungan dengan sampah-sampah yang nggak ada, akhirnya tuh tidak bisa terurai gitu. Dan yang kedua, ketika kita tidak bisa tahu sampah yang kita hasilkan itu akhirnya kemana sih? Nah ini sebenarnya ternyata dari riset yang dilakukan oleh UNEP gitu, 80% sampah yang ada di laut itu ternyata coming from lands atau berasal dari daratan. Artinya apa yang kita lakukan di sini, misalnya di kota gitu ya, itu ternyata nantinya malah ada impact-nya juga gitu ke laut gitu. Dan laut itu kan kalau misalnya di Indonesia sendiri, kita dikelilingi laut, dan tourism spot kita itu juga banyak yang mengandalkan laut sebagai keindahan yang ditawarkan gitu untuk tourism spot sendiri gitu. Jadi sayang sekali kalau kita nggak peduli sama sampah, meaning mungkin bisa jadi kita mencemari tempat-tempat tourism tadi. Terus yang ketiga, adanya kita terlibat dengan praktek yang kurang profesional ataupun informal gitu ya, sehingga bisa jadi ketika kita melakukan pengelolaan sampah yang tidak ramah lingkungan dan tidak bertanggung jawab, artinya kita juga mendukung praktek-praktek yang kurang profesional atau kurang baik juga gitu dalam hal pemberian upah ke operator persampahannya. Terus juga itu kan artinya secara sosial tidak baik gitu. Nah, sehingga kita ingin mengubah nih yang tadinya kebanyakan seperti yang Pak Angga tadi juga sudah katakan, jangan sampai tempat kita atau misalnya hotel kita itu hanya memvendorkan kurir untuk membawa sampah dari fasilitas hotel kita ke TPA gitu. Jadi jangan lagi kita mempraktekkan yang namanya linear ekonomi atau kumpul angkut buang saja gitu. Tapi saat ini sudah harus naik level nih setelah berpuluh-puluh tahun gitu. Kita harus mulai berani untuk mengubah cara kita mengelola sampah menjadi lebih sirkular gitu, lebih circular economy gitu dengan pertama pastinya dengan kita mengetahui jenis-jenis sampahnya apa, terus kita bisa mengurangi jumlah material yang mungkin akan jadi sampah dan juga nantinya bisa didaur ulang atau dikompos. Nah, ini juga ada fact atau fakta-fakta yang sebenarnya kalau misalnya tadi kita masih ragu gitu ya sebagai manajemen hotel atau pemilik atau bahkan traveler gitu ya, sebenarnya saat ini tuh emang trennya adalah semua orang menginginkan pengelolaan sampah yang lebih ramah lingkungan. Terutama ini kalau misalnya kita ngelihat di tourism sendiri atau traveling gitu ya, top 3 eco-friendly practice yang traveler inginkan gitu ya, ini secara global memang datanya, adalah salah satunya itu menggunakan atau memilih hotel yang memiliki recycling site atau recycling system gitu ya. Jadi sistem pendaur ulangan atau sistem pengelolaan sampah yang lebih baik sehingga mereka itu nggak worry gitu ketika stay di hotel tersebut. Mereka itu nggak perlu worry ini nanti sampahnya akan dikelola secara baik dan lebih ramah lingkungan nggak sih kayak gitu kan? Karena memang saat ini banyak generasi muda saat ini tuh memang concern sekali dengan yang namanya lingkungan karena mereka berpikir nih banyak fakta-fakta kan kalau ternyata nanti di usia tua mereka mungkin ketika mereka tidak concern terhadap lingkungan sekarang nantinya di masa tua tuh mereka yang akan mendapatkan dampaknya gitu berupa lingkungan yang buruk atau misalnya tadi lautnya lebih banyak sampah plastik dibandingkan ikan seperti itu. Jadi mereka saat ini tuh sudah sangat concern terhadap ekotourism gitu. Nah, di sini juga aku share beberapa contoh implementasi untuk ketika manajemen hotel itu ingin melakukan pengurangan jumlah sampah. Jadi dimulai dari bisa dengan melakukan waste audit, di mana setiap hasil dari sampah itu diaudit gitu. Karena kan kalau di hotel sendiri itu banyak spot-spot dan beda-beda ya jenis sampah yang akan dihasilkan gitu. Misalnya kayak di restoran atau di lounge gitu mungkin akan beda gitu kan. Terus di kamar bisa jadi itu lebih macam-macam lagi karena kita mungkin nggak bisa membatasi apa yang dibawa oleh guest atau tamu kita gitu kan. Jadi itu mungkin akan lebih bermacam-macam lagi. Terus juga yang ketiga yang mungkin masih bisa di ranah kita itu adalah ketika kita memilih vendor untuk misalnya vendor air mineral atau misalnya vendor personal care gitu, bisa nggak mereka menggunakan reusable packaging seperti itu. Jadi dengan adanya waste audit, pertama-tama itu kita punya fondasi, oh berarti selama ini komposisi sampah yang kita hasilkan tuh apa aja. Nah dari situ kita bisa mapping gitu ya, bisa melakukan pemetaan, oh berarti ada nih jenis-jenis sampah atau material yang bisa kita kurangin, kayak gitu. Nah yang kedua, ini ada fakta menarik juga di mana ketika kalau kita mau menurunkan jumlah food waste, terutama ketika lagi sarapan ya atau breakfast buffet gitu, itu mungkin bisa di refill-nya lebih dekat dengan ketika si makanannya itu mau habis gitu. Jadi jangan terlalu lama dan jangan dari secara jumlah juga jangan terlalu banyak supaya nanti memang yang dihabiskan oleh tamu itu sesuai gitu. Jadi sisa dari breakfast buffet-nya itu jadi lebih sedikit. Terus yang ketiga juga untuk penggunaan material-material yang reusable atau compostable itu sebaiknya juga dimaksimalkan sehingga memang nantinya sampah yang dihasilkan di hotel itu jadi lebih sedikit. Nah, yang terakhir pastinya karena hotel itu tadi nggak hanya pihak hotel aja kan yang menghasilkan sampah, tetapi juga pastinya dari para tamu yang datang, maka memang harus ada edukasi yang tepat, yang lebih menyenangkan, atau mungkin bisa dibikin sebuah campaign gitu, menyatakan bahwa hotel ini saat ini sedang menerapkan atau sudah menerapkan less waste gitu, atau pengurangan sampah. Dan kita bentuknya mengajak gitu, bahwa guest atau tamu yang datang sebaiknya juga melakukan hal yang sama, yaitu pengurangan sampah gitu. Jadi sebaiknya bisa memilah sampah dari awal atau bahkan yuk kurangi penggunaan plastik sekali pakai, sejenis campaign-campaign yang fun kayak gitu. Nah, tapi kalau misalnya ternyata masih ada juga ya, pasti kita nggak bisa menghindari akan tetap ada sampah yang kita hasilkan. Nah, di sini Wasteforchange apa sih yang dilakukan gitu untuk bisa memberikan jasa pengelolaan sampah yang lebih bertanggung jawab dan ramah lingkungan. Ini adalah kita di mana kita punya visi dan pengen punya misi juga untuk memberikan pengelolaan sampah yang lebih ramah lingkungan dan mengurangi jumlah sampah yang dimasukkan ke TPA atau lingkungan. Nah, sehingga yang kita lakukan itu ada edukasi bagaimana cara pemilahan, lalu kita juga mengangkutnya secara terpilah, dan dibawa ke tempat di namanya rumah pemulihan material, di mana kita sortir lebih detail, supaya bisa memaksimalkan daur ulang dan composting. Nah, ini mungkin beberapa jenisnya itu dari awal tuh udah disegregate gitu, atau udah dipilah, seperti yang ada di rumahnya Mbak Dila tadi ya, di fotonya kayak gitu. Nah, itu kita lakukan hampir di semua klien kita. Jadi setiap klien kita, termasuk Dharmawangsa, itu juga akan punya tempat pemilahan sesuai dengan material-material yang bisa dimaksimalkan untuk didaur ulang dan dikompos. Dan yang terakhir, karena kita mengelola dari awal sampai akhir, jadi kita akan memberikan waste journey report juga, sehingga pihak hotel, bahkan pihak hotel bisa memberi informasinya juga ke tamu-tamunya bahwa sampah yang dihasilkan oleh hotel tersebut itu dikelola dengan baik, komposisinya seperti ini, terus setiap material yang bisa didaur ulang atau dikompos itu berada di tangan yang tepat seperti itu. Ini beberapa contoh di mana foto-foto gitu, dokumentasi di mana kita melakukan pengolahan untuk sampah organik juga dengan 2 teknik, yaitu pengomposan aerobik dan dekomposisi menggunakan black soldier flies. Sedangkan untuk yang anorganiknya atau bahan-bahan daur ulang itu kita sortir lebih detail lagi, sehingga akan ada mungkin belasan sampai puluhan jenis sortir anorganik, karena masing-masing dari material ini, misalnya PET atau paper cup, itu memiliki mitra olah yang berbeda-beda. Gitu. Jadi kita memastikan setiap material yang sampai di kita itu bisa didaur ulang dengan baik, sehingga tidak jadi residu gitu, atau tidak jadi sampah. Nah, ini beberapa armada yang kita gunakan untuk mengangkut sampahnya, di mana setiap pengangkutan itu pastinya juga terpilah. Dan ini dengan adanya Wasteforchange saat ini, alhamdulillah kita sudah mengelola sekitar 9.200 ton dengan 2.060 klien, dan berhasil untuk mengurangi sampah yang masuk ke TPA sebanyak 52%. Nah, ini contoh juga di mana reportingnya ya, jadi jenis sampah apa akan masuk jadi material apa, terus produk daur ulangnya tuh jadi apa nih, contoh-contoh dari produknya kayak gitu. Terus ini komposisi dari sampah per bulan kayak gitu. Terus kalau misalnya nanti menggunakan jasa di mana residunya masih dimasukkan ke TPA, kita juga kasih recordnya. Tapi kalau misalnya ada residunya sama sekali nggak masuk ke TPA pun, kita kasih residual processing recordnya juga gitu. Dan ini praktek kecil saja sih, bahwa pengelolaan sampahnya itu nggak hanya ketika diangkut, tapi kita juga memberikan edukasi gimana caranya mengelola TPS gitu, atau tempat penampungan sementara yang ada di fasilitas-fasilitas klien kita, sehingga yang namanya tempat penampungan sampah atau tempat penampungan sementara sampah itu nggak harus seperti kayak kumuh atau jelek gitu ya, atau bau gitu, karena memang sudah dikelola dan tadi sudah terpilah juga dari sumbernya, sehingga menjadi pengelolaannya di TPS pun jadi lebih baik gitu. Ya, dan ini juga contoh di mana memang kalau misalnya tadinya hanya diangkut saja, bisa jadi hanya berakhir ke TPA atau landfill, tapi dengan adanya Wasteforchange, kita bisa tahu masing-masing material itu dimaksimalkan untuk diolah secara ramah lingkungan gitu. Oke. Dan terakhir, ya, jadi ini adalah sebuah ajakan di mana mungkin masing-masing dari kita atau pihak manajemen hotel bisa menerapkan responsible waste management di fasilitasnya mereka masing-masing. Gitu. Okay, Alistair, that's all.
Fantastic, Hana. Thank you very much indeed. For those of you who don't know this story, I'm glad that you're listening to it now, because a lot of people say, yeah, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. And here there is a solution. We've been telling people there's a solution. When an ordinary truck comes to your hotel and says, I'm picking up your garbage, they're taking it to landfill. There's no other question about that. So to every hotelier who's listening, unless you're using a segregated transportation system, you are condemned to not being able to report correct, sustainable waste disposal. Full stop. So unless you're doing it deliberately and exactly as described, you're not doing it. Now that means that your head office and your shareholders and the stock exchange cannot accept that as part of your sustainability report. Now, should DLH be doing more about it? The Department of the Environment of Jakarta, there is now a new head of DLH who seems to be very enthusiastic about doing it. Hana, tell us how you work, before we finish with you, how you work with DLH to make things better at the Department of the Environment, because they are in charge of this for Jakarta. How does your service and theirs work together?
Okay.
Bisa menjelaskan itu.
Yeah. So DLH has also regulations about B2B area. So every B2B area or commercial area, such as hotels, malls, even offices, private offices, should assign another private sectors in waste management. Waste management company to also manage their waste. So DLH only will collect the waste only in the non-commercial area, and then I think in 2000, it's just came like in 2021. I think it's Pergub 102 where every private area need to manage their waste more responsibly. So I think it's because it's only just came out, many of the private area management or private area owner doesn't know about it much for now. But DLH and Wasteforchange are collaborate together, and we know that DLH is very supporting about the. I think it's one of the city. So Jakarta is one of the city that support environmental friendly waste management because they already divided the B2B area and their area, so that the waste management company with better or with responsible waste management can also helping the community and also the people to have more better waste management.
Well, good. It's getting better, but
Yeah.
it still, honestly, isn't good enough. Banding sama kota-kota lain, but we're delighted that we're heading in the right direction. Now, I've got some. Thank you very much indeed, Hana. That's very, very comprehensive as usual. And we'll once again we'll come back to you. Can we now bring back all of the speakers for our question and answer session? Is that possible? Who's got the finger on the button? But Angga, are you there? Yeah, there he is. Enjoying his coffee in the Dharmawangsa lounge. How nice. So, okay, first question coming from Yusran Matar from Polytechnic Pangkep State of Agriculture to Pak Angga and Mbak Dila, both of you. How do you deal with people who always say why you care so much about all of this trash, knowing that only you are doing it? It's just useless because nobody else is doing it. That's a very depressing question, Yusran. How do we deal with that? Angga, you first, and then Mbak Dila.
Well, frankly speaking, there are always people who think like that. In the beginning, we also have this kind of resistance from all of our employees. Why do we need to care about something that we cannot even see? But if we see the slides that Ibu Hana showed in the beginning, it showed that people who work in the landfills work in the situation that is actually dangerous. And the thing is, we believe that the awareness always comes with the vision. A lot of people did not have awareness because they simply did not have a vision on how the world and the people could actually be better if we maintain our waste. So this kind of question, it comes because they don't see how beautiful the world could be, how sustained by providing sustainability. So that depressing questions coming from people who did not know. That's how we approach it. And it's our job that it's not simply if we just want to manage waste, we simply partner with Wasteforchange and that's it. But by being here, it's also our duty to actually bring this awareness to people. And we actually, if that kind of question arises, we need to take the time to explain to them what will happen. The question is, why do we do it? Let's ask the same question, but in a different tone. What will happen if we did not do it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if they start to think about what will happen if no one actually care and no one do it, then they will see why we need to do this kind of thing. That will be for me.
Any other thoughts on that, Dila?
Yes, thank you. That question or that mentality has been around for perhaps my whole career. It's been, there will always be people who in a word, negative, pessimistic. 10 years ago, it seemed absurd to bring around your own straw or spoon and fork. That was 10 years ago. Now, or tumbler, now it's cool. Now it's trending. Now everybody does it, and it's common because everybody does it. But so I feel questions like that, like perhaps maybe like my own sister talking about the example of having to do that little segregation. Like we ordered 5 mie baso, and then I tried to do like small segregation. She's like, why would you do it? Nobody is doing it. not to your knowledge, but then like slowly but surely, she and my other siblings do comparisons, whether it's a healthy lifestyle where I try to eat more plant-based meats, or I try to eat healthier, more vegetables, more organic meat or poultry and somewhat, and they see that I'm healthy and it feels good, and then they're like, oh, that's why she does it. And then when you're talking about waste segregation, when they come to my house, it doesn't smell as much and it's nice, and I can garden. I don't have to buy pupuk for gardening as well. I make it my own. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So sometimes perhaps these people who do have that kind of mentality do not yet feel the direct benefits to their own lives, not yet. But then when they're able to go to somebody who has done that lifestyle and they see the benefits and like, oh, I'd want to live like that. That doesn't seem so hard now in comparison to what benefits you will reap. Because in all honesty, unfortunately, humans are selfish. So again, if they don't see the direct benefits, therefore they might not be as motivated to do it. In my opinion. So if you can always bring it back to the human benefit, then they will hopefully be more inclined to do so, to do those.
So two good viewpoints there.
Yes.
From Angga, what happens if you don't do it? And from you, see the benefits if you do it.
Yes.
Very, very well and comprehensively locked together. The second question is again for you, Dila, from Amanda. Bagaimana pendapat Mbak Dila tentang minat milenial dan generasi masa kini terhadap hotel yang mendukung sustainability?
Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Mungkin karena pertanyaan dalam bahasa Indonesia, aku jawab dalam bahasa Indonesia, ya.
Silakan.
Oke. Jadi pendapat milenial kayaknya sekarang yang aku rasakan ya, gitu. Jadi tren itu sekalipun dia memang terlihat atau terasa ini ya, oh dia melakukan itu hanya karena tren, gitu. Oh itu dia melakukan itu hanya karena keren. Menurut aku, kalau tren itu bisa positif dan memang dia mengarah kepada sesuatu yang akan bisa berdampak lama, ya kenapa tidak gitu ya. Kalau dalam hal hotel-hotel yang mendukung perilaku yang ramah lingkungan, saat ini menjadi sesuatu yang mungkin cenderung keren gitu, termasuk makanan-makanan yang sehat juga, apapun yang ada hubungannya dengan ramah lingkungan gitu. Apalagi ketika misalnya mereka melihat hotel yang seperti Hotel Dharmawangsa yang dengan perkebunan yang sangat indah atau dengan pemandangan yang sangat indah, itu yang mereka incarkan sebenarnya gitu. Jadi aspek lingkungan itu gitu, dan ditambah lagi rata-rata hotel yang memang dia terikat dengan pemandangan atau suasana yang dengan lingkungan yang indah, maka itu biasanya disertai dengan perilaku yang ramah lingkungan sekalipun gitu. Jadi menurut aku banyak juga yang tertarik karena lagi-lagi untuk bisa mengikuti tren itu gitu, dan itu adalah sebuah tren yang positif gitu. Jadi kalau menurut aku ya it's all around good. It's okay that's the direction that the millennials are going gitu, and I for one support these hotels taking that angle in order to get these millennials to be more interested. And then the more that they know, the more that ketika jadi bahasa Inggris lagi, tapi ketika mereka jadi tambah mendalam mengetahui kenapa hotel itu bisa jadi ramah lingkungan dan mereka berusaha untuk mengadaptasi perilaku itu, jadi ya semuanya jadi serba positif gitu. Ya. Jadi kalau menurut aku ketika generasi milenial ini misalnya dipandang, tapi ya dia melakukan itu bukan karena lingkungan, tapi karena keren, ya nggak apa-apa gitu. Hal yang awal yang memang mungkin
we don't care why.
Yeah,
it's the result that counts.
All
exactly.
we care about is the effect.
The result.
Yes, the result.
True.
If it's positive, then
Absolutely.
good for you. That's okay. So yeah, and the hotel too.
Absolutely.
Like if the hotels, perhaps they feel at the beginning because they see that it's a trend, and in the end, they therefore are interested and they start to feel the benefits. Then great. So yeah, that's my
exactly.
Thank you.
Look, let's go on to the next question. Thank you, Dila and Angga, for that. From Sharifuddin Ansari, DLH Pasar, to some more. So, but we'll start with Mbak Hana, I think on this, apakah semua hotel berbintang 5 ke atas sudah melaksanakan 3R terhadap sampah? Jika ada hotel apa? Is that finished?
Oke. Iya, jadi kalau saat ini yang saya pahami, ini maksudnya apakah semua hotel berbintang 5 itu pasti menerapkan 3R gitu ya, sepertinya pertanyaannya. Kalau ada apa gitu kan. Oke, jadi mungkin aku ya lebih ke ini sih, menjawabnya mungkin lebih ke bahwa syarat untuk bintang hotel 5 itu sepertinya belum sinkron dengan Green Hotel. Ini mungkin boleh nanti dikonfirmasikan dengan mungkin Pak Alistair juga karena lebih pengalaman untuk ngelihat beberapa hotel. Tapi maksudnya di isu tourism and hotel. Tapi ya yang aku pahami, jadi bintang 5 itu saat ini belum sinkron nih dengan yang disebut dengan Green Hotel. Jadi biasanya kalau misalnya kita ada beberapa sertifikasi Green Hotel yang memang di situ pun ada poin-poinnya juga ya. Jadi Green Hotel pun nggak hanya soal sampah, tapi juga energi atau pengelolaan air gitu kan. Jadi kadang kita harus cek juga apakah benar-benar udah sampai mereka manajemennya atau fasilitas di hotelnya itu memang memberikan pengelolaan sampah yang baik gitu, bahkan sampai ke ramah lingkungan kayak gitu. Jadi enggak serta-merta ketika mereka bintang 5, sayangnya saat ini belum menunjukkan bahwa sudah pasti pengelolaan sampahnya itu baik gitu. Makanya sebaiknya emang dicek lagi gitu bahwa seperti kayak Dharmawangsa kan di sini artinya sudah announce bahwa memang pengelolaan sampahnya itu lebih ramah lingkungan. Dengan memang memberikan pemilahan sampah, terus juga bisa mengklaim atau istilahnya menunjukkan bahwa sampahnya itu bisa dikelola semuanya nih kayak gitu. Jadi mungkin jawaban saya seperti itu Pak Alistair, di mana belum tentu nih kalau bintang 5 udah pasti melakukan 3R gitu. Jadi harus dicek lagi gitu. Menurut saya seperti itu.
Absolutely. Now, what you have to remember is that the hotel ratings from PHRI and the Ministry of Tourism have nothing to do with sustainability yet. They're not already in to the categorization of sustainability. In fact, they don't even take into account safety. It's about the facilities and the comfort and the way in which it's presented. So we actually need to change that. I'm sure that there's some work being done by PHRI and the Ministry of Tourism about the classification of the hotels, which takes into account safety, security, and sustainability. But don't think a 5-star hotel is sustainable because it's 5-star. It should be because of the standard of management, but it's not necessarily so. But most 5-star hotels have very, very good management. Therefore, they will be looking at all of those aspects. But it's not linked to their 5-star rating. So, but it is linked to their mentality. So that's a very good question. And I think there's another question like that as well, which I think we can answer at the same time. Have all 5-star hotels implemented 3Rs for waste? If yes, what are they? That's from Sharifuddin again. No, they haven't all done it, but most of them, I'm sure, are thinking about it for one of those 3 reasons I talked about earlier, either public opinion or legislation, or because they want to. So most of the 5-star hotels are in that. So that's very good. The last question of this first session is, bagaimana pengawasan terhadap efektivitas implementasi kebijakan penerapan Green Hotel di Indonesia? Who is that going to? Pak Angga. Can you see that question, Pak Angga?
No, I'm actually.
Bagaimana pengawasan terhadap efektivitas implementasi kebijakan penerapan Green Hotel di Indonesia? From Patia.
Okay, I will answer in bahasa as well. Pengawasan.
Silakan.
Thank you, Bapak. Pengawasan terhadap kebijakannya, apakah itu berhasil atau tidak, tentu saja kembali lagi ke gini, partner yang kita gunakan itu reliable atau tidak, dan apakah mereka memfasilitasi pengawasan itu. Ke beberapa pertanyaan sebelumnya kita lihat hotel-hotel sudah ada yang melakukan atau enggak. Rata-rata hotel sudah melakukan, tapi kembali lagi pada akhirnya dilakukan di hotel, ujung-ujungnya kan mereka pakai jasa kurir aja ke tempat sampah. Jadi disortir di depan, ujung-ujungnya di tempat sampah jadiin satu lagi. Jadi disitulah pentingnya kita punya partner yang benar-benar reliable, yang benar-benar bisa accountability-nya itu ada. Mereka bisa bilang ini kita ada terima yang bisa di recycle itu ada sekian persen dan lain-lain. Ini sudah kita sampaikan ke sini, ke situ, ke situ. Jadinya yang semuanya di recycle ada laporannya. Seperti itu. Nah, jadi bagaimana pengawasannya untuk saat ini satu, karena anggaran secara digital tidak ada dan teknologinya juga belum mencukupi. Pengawasannya bagaimana? Pakailah vendor yang menyediakan akuntabilitas tersebut dan yang menggunakan teknologi supaya bisa melakukan pengawasan tersebut. Seperti itu. Dari situ caranya kita bisa membantu pengawasan itu. Di masa yang akan datang mungkin semuanya akan seperti Wasteforchange. Di masa yang akan datang. Di saat itu pengawasan akan lebih mudah. Untuk saat ini, jawaban saya itu, kalau kita mau diawasin, pakailah vendor yang menjanjikan pengawasan itu. Seperti itu.
And Angga, do you think that we should have a monitoring system from the PHRI or Jakarta Hotels Association or the Ministry of Tourism or the Ministry of Environment monitoring for the sustainability of hotels, so that you have to do a report to get a 5-star sustainability rating? Is it time to actually start implementing that?
Yes, I believe that it is our responsibility as human to actually apply that, and not only from tourism, Ministry of Tourism, but also from the local government, the pemerintah daerah, because eventually the one who control the TPA are the local government. So they need to know if they need to be able to provide system to actually able to backtrack, and by doing that help people responsible and accountable for everything. Yes, I believe there must be a better system and a better procedure to do that. At the moment, awareness is not there, and it's part of a government responsibility to force that awareness, basically.
Good, agreed. The last question from Ferry Nabila for Hana. What is the approach or socialization that's been carried out by Wasteforchange to hotels to implement sustainability in their operations? Well, part of that has been us working together to take it to Jakarta Hotels Association and to PHRI. Tell us if it's been successful. Have we penetrated the hotel association and the industry?
Okay. So yeah, as you mentioned before, we already giving socialization not only to public, but also to every association of tourism or hospitality that we know, and trying to approach every hotel management so that they know the importance about the responsible waste management, or the importance of having waste management that is environmental friendly. And yeah, I think it's not about they don't want or they ignore about the waste management itself, but sometimes what we see after we met some of the associations, they don't know that their vendor are doing worse than they imagined. You know, like they just know that, oh, okay, I have a waste management vendor, and then they just they assume that the vendor is already doing it right. But after we give them the reality that most of the vendor is only taking the waste to the landfill, and there are so many bad impact or bad effect for the environment if you just collect the waste to the landfill, then they get the awareness and then they start to trying to implement a better waste management. But maybe that is the small step, the first step, the awareness itself, and then they come up to their internal management, trying to figure out. Maybe sometimes they started by doing reducing mineral bottle first, like the disposable water first, and then sometimes they start to do the composting at their site first, and then maybe like Dharmawangsa, this is I think I can say that this is the first hotel that ready and brave enough to implement the whole waste management that is responsible with us. So they do a lot bigger because they don't just reducing the waste, but also responsible for every waste that is generated from their facility. Yeah. So there is
fantastic.
Yeah. Mm.
Glad to hear. Look, we're way over time, but we're going to wrap up now with some final statements. So, but Angga, what would you like to leave with us, apart from the fact, come and see Dharmawangsa Hotel and enjoy our waste management system, which you won't see, you'll just see the usual hospitality, but behind the scenes is the waste management. What's your final point for us?
I think we all need to think that sustainability and waste management is like planting a tree. You plant a tree and then you could be able to get the fruit like 10 years later. Starting the whole process by already asking what benefit that I get and said, why should I do that? It's like we plant a tree and then the next day we're already standing and looking into this small seed. And then we said, yeah, I want to know how big the fruit will be. It's not working that way, right? So we really need to see this kind of things, that what we do now, we will repeat like 10 or years or in the future. You cannot plant a seed and already come the next day just to see, am I going to get a big fruit or not? It's just like that. So I think it's important for us to think about it after this session.
Very good example by Angga. In the city of Auckland, there's a park called Cornwall Park. And at the end of Twin Oaks Drive, there's a sign which says, "The city fathers have planted these trees, knowing we will never see them in maturity. It will take 200 years, but we're doing it for the future of the city." That's planning. And I love that statement. Whenever I go there, I stand and look at this and go, wow. In Jakarta, they plant a tree and 5 minutes later, they're waiting for it to produce results. We're a 5-minute country rather than a 200-year country, and we got to change to that long-term planning. Very good example indeed. Mbak Dila, what would your final thoughts be?
Yes, thank you. Aku mungkin juga menyampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia, boleh ya?
Silakan.
Ya. Jadi kalau dalam kaitan dalam topik hari ini, mungkin aku lagi-lagi akan mencoba untuk mencomot dari presentasi aku sebelumnya mengenai ketika kita memang berliburan atau ke hotel ataupun dalam kehidupan sehari-hari kita, ya itu berusaha untuk sesederhana bertanya bagaimana aku bisa membuat hal ini lebih baik atau bagaimana bisa membuat ini lebih ramah lingkungan. Sesederhana itu. Baik dari kebiasaan pribadi atau lebih mudah kalau kita memilih hotel yang memang sudah bisa membantu kita untuk lebih ramah lingkungan gitu. Karena dengan kita menghargai lingkungan, maka secara pasti dan otomatis kita menghargai diri kita sendiri, dan apalagi keluarga, dan dalam hal ini kalau saya menghargai anak. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak. Look, in wrapping up this session, we're going to come to our 3 winners of the tote bags who had the good questions in a second. Just a couple of things I'd like to say. one of which is our own service. MVB have just got together with a consulting firm called Bahar. Bahar MVB is now doing a hotel audit for sustainability, not just on waste management, but just to give you, all the hotels, an idea of what you should be doing or not doing on waste, on management and supply chain management, everything. A simple questionnaire so that you can look at yourself and say, oh, I didn't realize we weren't doing that well enough. So, because it's all locked together. It's, there's so many aspects locked together, and it's difficult to see it without a third party coming in to help you to see yourself, right? And so often we forgive ourselves saying, oh, ini terlalu susah, I'll come back to that later. Well, it's all susah, and we can't come back later because later is now. Second point I want to make is something which you won't be yet aware of, but Mercure Convention Center in Anchol has just put in the first integrated bottling plant, 100% recycled on site. Glass bottles, recycled, rewashed, using city water, purified, bottled, rebottled on site. No transport, no pollution, no plastic at all. They save 40,000 bottles a year in plastic. Now, plastic itself is not a problem, as Hannah can tell us. It's recycling that you need to do to make sure that the plastic is not a problem, and we can't do that yet. One hotel, 40,000 bottles a year. 100 hotels, you try and figure that out. So integrated bottling is a solution which has just started. So there are these solutions, whether it be supply chain management, energy solutions, your automatic switches when people leave the rooms, all of that stuff comes in. But start off by getting audited so you know where you are. Then at least you know I need help with my waste management, my water management, my energy management, supply chain management. And then we haven't even started, because they need to go into our community involvement as well, the things that we do with the community. And before we finish, what about employees and gender equality and race equality and all of the other things which get measured by the United Nations about sustainability in hotels? There are so many aspects, complicated, difficult. Get somebody to help you to make sure you know exactly where you stand. Do we have the results of our best questions? Yes, we do. The answers are going to go up on chat. So it's up on chat. It will come up on chat somewhere. But I can tell you now, the best questions today came from Yusran Mata from Polytechnic Pangkep, State of Agriculture, from Fatia de Elha Lamongan, and from Ferry Nabil Universitas Brawijaya. The organizers from Wasteforchange will contact you and make sure you get your free tote bag. And I hope that you've learned something today, but we learned from your questions as well. On behalf of Wasteforchange, Dharmawangsa, Dila, and Mbak Hana and MVB, who I'm representing, huge thanks to all for being with us today. Terima kasih banyak. Ini sebetulnya sangat complicated, the whole system of sustainability, but it can start with the hotels, move out through apartments, into malls, into offices, and suddenly we'll have a sustainable city, then a sustainable country. Terima kasih banyak for all of you for being with us today. Look at the chat to see what the contact is for your reward for today's questions. Terima kasih banyak. Pak Angga, see you in your hotel soon. Mbak Dila,
See you.
get your neighbors.
Thank you.
What you do. And Mbak Hana, keep up the good work. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Cobalah lihat dia di sana, merintih memanggil sampahmu. Bumi pertiwi, rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu pada tempatnya, sebelum kita mati terkubur bersamanya. Buatlah sampah jadi berguna, sebelum mereka jadi sumber malapetaka. Pertama, pisahkan sampah organik dan anorganik. Kedua, terapkan 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Bijak kelola sampah. Alangkah indah jika bersama saling merangkul untuk dunia. Tiada lagi sampah berkelana di seluruh penjuru dunia. Bumi pertiwi, rumah kita bersama, tapi miris petanya sampah di mana-mana. Dunia yang indah tak lagi berwarna, kini kusam sudah tiada lagi berharga. Buanglah sampah selalu